Let's say you are about to work with a new supplier and you want to do a first level of due diligence and uncover the basic risks. So here we cover 4 types of basic risks that are very, very common in places like China, Vietnam, India, and some other countries, of course, not just in Asia. So the first one is scammers. So you find a company, they have a website, they have a profile on maybe Alibaba or something like that, that they created, and all of that maybe was created just 1 month ago. And yeah, maybe they have a company name, they have a company, but they're not really operating as a legit company. They are going to completely disappear in a few weeks or a few months. So they're looking for inexperienced buyers, because experienced buyers will kind of smell them out and avoid them. But especially for inexperienced buyers, they will say, oh yeah, this we can do. Yes, yes, yes. Look at all these photos of nice products. They might send you some samples. It might be just one person somewhere behind a computer in an apartment, okay? And what they will try to do is get you to send a deposit, a first payment, and they will disappear. And they might give you a very low price, way too attractive, not realistic, but they might also push you to pay more than 30%. They might say, well, you need to pay 100% upfront, right? That's the way to work with us. And that's how you secure these low prices. And they might add an element of urgency. Okay, so that's scammers. Then there's traders with no control over the factory. So traders are companies that will supply the products to you and they will purchase it from one or several manufacturers. And there's no problem working with traders in itself. Okay, the problem is that many traders, and that's so true in China, they will pretend they are a manufacturer. Okay, so what happens is that you work with them and then you find out that there's all kinds of issues, but you don't really know what's going on. They don't tell you. Okay, and what happens in many cases is that they have no control over the factory. So they find a factory that makes the kind of samples, the kind of products that you're looking for, but the factory doesn't consider them a regular interesting customer and doesn't really care about their orders, and actually it's your orders indirectly, right? So the factory doesn't really care. The trader very often will not even have a manufacturing contract with the factory. I mean, the factory could do all kinds of unethical things and there's nothing the trader can do, and then you are kept in the dark behind, and nothing happens as you would like and you don't even know why. So that's really a problem. Okay, so you need to have some visibility into your supply chain to avoid this risk. Now there's also some good traders and really work closely with factories, and the more specialized in one type of product, the better in general. Okay, then number 3 is manufacturers with no quality system. So let's say you find a manufacturer, you have a direct relationship, that's great, but the assurance you can have that they will deliver what they promise, that they will deliver what you need and what you have specified and so on, really goes down when you go and work with certain kinds of manufacturers. And that's very true, especially in emerging markets, especially if you go with the manufacturers that are most flexible, maybe with the lowest prices also, because these tend to be smaller factories, and smaller factories tend to maybe have been in business only for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, never really grew out of the small workshop, sort of 10 people or 30 people or 50 people in a garage, if you want, kind of approach, and they never put in place a proper quality management system. And that means, well, you never know what you're going to receive if you don't check it up. Okay, and then number 4 is that for various reasons you fall prey to a very common scam where you send money to an unverified bank account. Might be inappropriate. So if I unpack it, there's several issues here that might be at play. One is that in many cases a scammer infiltrated the email system of the supplier, might be your email system as the buyer, by the way, and they sort of pretend to be the supplier. They send you some invoices, they respond to some of the emails. It's really, really spooky. Really, a lot of buyers get into big trouble. Some of them wired more than $100,000 there, and then, well, nothing happens, the scammers just disappear. Okay, that's one thing. And the second thing is that maybe the bank account, well, the bank account is in a Hong Kong company or a company wherever, but whereas the manufacturer maybe is in China, for example. So why is it a different thing? Maybe it's a personal bank account, even worse. Maybe it's a company bank account, but it's not the same company. So that's why, it's not just unverified, it's also like, inappropriate. It might be really your supplier asking you to send money there, but then you have no way to actually track it and show that it was sent to the supplier. There's no contract that mentions it. There's no relationship between the companies. Maybe you even sent it to a personal bank account. Not something we recommend here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. And so as the buyer, you are considering working with a new supplier. How do you go about it? Where do you start, right? What we suggest is to go at it in 2 different steps. Okay, so first is to look at the legal records of the supplier. Okay, so you will see if they've been in business very short amount of time. If you want to work with a company that's supposed to be in Vietnam, but their company is in some other place, well, how come, what's going on? Please explain. If it's a company that has very little capital invested, well, again, that might very well be a trader. Now, if they tell you they are a manufacturer, that doesn't work, right? You can ask questions. So these 2 points here are more or less covered by what we call a legal records check. Okay, we can point out to some risks. In most cases, this will come up to the surface. Okay, and at the same time, it's good to also check the bank account, and we have a very specific process for that. And so you get the double confirmation that their bank account number and everything. It's confirmed that's the right bank account, so you can when the time comes, you input that bank account into your banking system. Okay, but also if they give you a bank account in another jurisdiction, another country, or it's a different company, then you can start asking questions. Why is it not exactly the same company that we checked in the legal records check? What is different, right? And then sometimes they will say, oh, well, you pay this company to maybe our headquarters, and then and then the manufacturer is the subsidiary in Dongguan. Okay, and then we say, oh, okay, so, well, tell us, give us the exact names and addresses of these 2 companies, and we're going to check these 2 companies. And then in many cases, what we find is that there's zero relationship between these 2 companies. So then we say, okay, you say it's a headquarter, but it's not the same group. They don't belong to the same company. They have no shareholder in common. What's going on here? And why would the payment go to one and the other one manufacturer, and which one's going to sign a contract? So it's very good to ask all these questions early on. Okay, so that's the first step: legal records check and the bank account verification. And then if all of this checks out and it seems like there's no red flag, well, then it makes sense to send an auditor to check the quality system. And depending on the amount of business and so on, it might be what we call an initial factory evaluation or a quality system audit, which is a bit more in-depth, or something even more in-depth. But in any cases, second step is to go on site, check if they have a quality system that is repeatable and that really help you have the assurance that they will deliver what they're supposed to deliver. All right, I hope that was useful. Let us know if you have any questions about that. Thank you.